big parole hearing for O.J. Simpson. The Nevada Department of Corrections hours away from announcing the date when commissioners will meet and decide O.J.'s future. We spoke with one of his closest friends, and Amy, he's revealing the former NFL star's state of mind right now.
That's right, and it is a huge day for O.J. Simpson because he will learn what day his fate will be determined after nearly 9 years of calling Lovelock Correctional Facility his home. And now many say Simpson actually has a real shot at getting out.
This morning, O.J. Simpson set to learn exactly when he will face a Nevada parole board to ask for his freedom.
He's hopeful he's not going to try to retry the case. He's done a lot of positive things in prison.
Simpson's close friend and confidant, Tom Scotto, says he talks over the phone to the former NFL star on a weekly basis.
He wants to just keep a low profile, be with his kids, be with his family, play golf is one of his main things.
Count 1, conspiracy to commit a crime, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty.
Simpson currently serving 33 years on armed robbery and kidnapping charges after a botched 2007 attempt to recover sports memorabilia he said belonged to him. This next hearing could set him free.
I've not had any incidences, despite all the stories in the tabloids and everything. I haven't had one incident since I've been here.
Any kind of positive engagement that he has with other inmates, whether it's tutoring or teaching or coaching, and definitely staying out of trouble. What the parole board wants to see is that you've been rehabilitated.
Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
It was more than 20 years ago that a jury acquitted O.J. in the killings of his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ron Goldman.
He's O.J. Simpson.
A civil trial later finding him liable for wrongful death in the double murder. But the so-called trial of the century still fascinates.
I did not commit this crime.
Millions tuning into the FX miniseries American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, starring Cuba Gooding Jr. And ESPN's documentary Made in America winning an Oscar.
You don't know what he's capable of.
911 emergency. Can you get someone over here, please?
Among those watching, Ron Goldman's family.
It's like constantly having salt being poured in an open wound.
Who told ABC's Matt Gutman earlier this year they can't bear the idea of Simpson as a free man.
There is a chance that he could get paroled this year in 2017.
October. Yeah.
What would that picture look like to you?
Disgust.
He did a horrible, heinous crime, and I have no feeling except rotten hell.
Now, if Simpson is granted parole, he would be 70 when he gets out in October. But if he is not granted parole next month, they will decide at that hearing the date of the next parole board meeting, and it might be another 5 years, Robin.
He would be 75. All right, Amy, let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. So what do you think his chances are?
If he wasn't O.J. Simpson, his chances would be quite good. What people forget is that he was already granted parole on 5 of the 12 charges. So he was in front of the parole board, he made his plea, and he was granted parole on those charges. You need 4 of the 7 commissioners there to recommend release, to get release. They do this for about half of the people. And O.J. Simpson in 2013 talked about the fact that he was disinfecting prison weight room equipment. He was mopping floors. He was coaching the prisoners, etc. Those are the sorts of things that you can expect to hear again this time.
So what are the factors? There's a formula almost that they look at.
That's right. There are actually 11 factors, and there's a plus and minus for each one. So he actually ends up getting a score at the end. And they relate to everything from the crime itself, his behavior in prison, his gender, his age, the fact that he's almost 70 years old will work to his advantage. So you've got a whole list of them with a plus and minus to each one. And again, if you look at what happened in 2013, you would say, same factors are going to be applied here, except for the crime itself. You would think that he's got a pretty good shot, except the fact that he's O.J. Simpson has just got to play into this in some way, shape, or form.
These people are human.
Yeah.
And even though he is supposed to be held accountable for the crime he was convicted of, how can they not think about his previous arrest, even though he was acquitted?
Well, that's right. And that's a critical question because in theory, I mean, in reality, his previous criminal history is a relevant factor in determining whether he gets parole. But he has no criminal history because he was acquitted in the criminal case. And that's what drives people like the Goldman family, who you just saw there, crazy, is the idea. You're telling me he gets to have no criminal history when assessing whether he's going to be up for parole. So, look, I think this time will be a little different. Last time the parole board knew he wasn't going to be released no matter what. But, you know, as I said before, if this were just looking at the crime, just looking at the guy, just looking at the factors, I think he'd probably be released.
But it's O.J. Simpson.
But it's O.J. Simpson, and, you know, they have a lot of discretion with these parole boards.
All right, Dan, thanks.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.